one they fear. In their tongue, he's Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
Right.
I have a problem with this. I love a power fantasy. I get hyped when I'm the chosen one or the last remaining guy of this strong group of people or whatever. But sometimes, most of the time, my skill can't cash the check that the plot is writing. In other words, I suck bad. I like the challenge. I want to feel overpowered, but I also don't want it to be like a cakewalk. And listen, I understand that this is like a me problem. That's a really hard line to walk. But when I played Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, it managed to do it. I felt like a superhero the entire game, despite sucking bad. So when I finished the game, I knew I wanted to make a video about this, like how they thread the needle, as they say, or they made me feel super powered without lying to me about how bad I am at the actual game.
For you, Vishka, the Kushan general, victory was certain. Until history took a different turn. The 7 immortals were the best warriors in the kingdom. One of them would become a legend.
I mean, bravo, right? That was cool. I mean, what a start. So you play as this character here. His name is Sargon. He's a part of an elite group of super soldiers called the Immortals. And as far as like an overpowered group goes, the Immortals is not a bad name, right? Starting strong. And this group has mastered the art of Athra, which is basically like your garden variety, like chakra, ki, nen thing, but for Prince of Persia world. In this group of 6, in the beginning of the game, the tutorial of the game, by themselves fend off an entire army. So plot-wise, very cool. Then they go on to prove it and make you feel OP through the tutorial. And of course, the tutorial is supposed to be easy like in every game. They do a good job of making you feel strong. You fight a ton of people, you learn the mechanics. It's clear that there's not a person alive that can like stand on your level. You're even having like the banter, the witty banter from like Avengers or Lord of the Rings.
How many did you get? I'll get out of your way! I need to catch up! Ah!
To just add to that feeling of like, oh, this isn't even a challenge. This whole army of people. Not for me, an immortal. It demonstrates that your character is inhumanly athletic and agile, also has like unparalleled skill with his chosen weapon, which is 2 swords. It gives you the feeling that your character is trained beyond their peak. They are maxed out in every stat starting the game. And of course the tutorial ends with a pretty easy boss who, despite being easy, is very threatening looking, giant on a giant horse. But you beat him with relative ease in a very flashy way with very cool animations. They're being recognized by the city as the hero and unstoppable. The Radiba or something like that, the Clank, the Racket, I forget what they call you, but they have a nickname for you that essentially means like the bringer of destruction.
The Rashaba, was it?
This kind of thing is usually like a barrier between me getting immersed because I'm like very sensitive to the stories usually, especially like as an adult. The older I get, the more sensitive to video game stories I become, and the easier it is for me to disconnect if there's like something out of place. And this was like a clear sign of that possibly being the case. And the plot moves in a direction that feels pretty genius to mitigate this problem. Instead of telling you your peak at the beginning and then having you go realize you're not over and over again, they tell you your peak at the beginning and then they raise the ceiling. So you are at a peak, but now there's a new peak. That's what they do in this game. They put you in an unknown environment full of unknown challenges and unknown skills. They introduce you to this mountain. And so while you are the peak of humanity, now you're not fighting humans. Now you're fighting inhuman things and creatures and gods. Not only that, but this mountain immediately signals this mountain doesn't function like the rest of the world. And there's kind of different rules. And this allows for skills that you didn't have before that you can now learn. And it's reasonable that your character wouldn't have just learned those skills before. Like, it's not just like, well, now your character can swing his sword twice. No, it's like, now you can freeze time, or now you can dash midair. Now you're getting superhuman abilities. So it makes it so your character is peak, but has room to grow. And also because your character's still exhibiting these like peak athletic and peak agile performances, you can tell that that past experience, that past peakness, contributing to the ability to learn these new skills rapidly. If I got, today, hypothetically, if I got a mid-air dash ability, it would not be that useful. I cannot jump that high, okay? It would look silly, all right? To say the least. And now the last thing to address, and probably one of the biggest things that breaks immersion when you have like an OP character in a difficult game, is death. So I'm not gonna reveal any part of the story to you, but this whole mountain has to do with time. And they don't say it explicitly, but it's kind of indicated that death isn't the end. You're living through multiple timelines. And so it's feasible, it's not a huge stretch to connect that to the mechanic of death in the game. And so when you're dying in the game, you can pretty early connect it to like, oh, well, story-wise, plot-wise, lore-wise, the character's not actually dying and just coming back. Maybe a version of that character was dying, but this new character didn't. And because he is so powerful at the start, it almost feels like when you're playing, you're actually finding the version of him that makes it through without dying. And that's reasonable because he's an immortal, as they say, right? All this combined with epic animations and cutscenes woven seamlessly into the gameplay, it just made this one of my favorite gaming experiences of last year. As I've gotten older, it feels like games have to do more and more to keep me immersed. And so on a rare occasion, a game like this comes along and I feel like I can just completely lose myself in the game. And it's clear that they thread the needle and made the game walk the line of being difficult while giving you that power fantasy. And I really appreciate games like this because, you know, it reminds me of how I used to feel when I would play power fantasies as a kid. And I didn't think too much about it. And so it brings that joy back. I just love the way that games tell stories. This is actually part of a series where we talk about the cool or unique ways that games tell stories. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. But also if you have any ideas or specific games that tell stories in unique ways, let me know in the comments and I would love to play those games and maybe make a video on it. I actually just did a video about Celeste and how it uses mechanics to make the player feel the emotions of the character. So if you're interested in that, you can check it here. My name is Terrence. I'm gonna keep playing games till I find the perfect one. Peace, love,